Welcome back to Henry's Garage. In this episode we're working on the white TR7. We're just doing some bits down in the south as we can, and the subframe of the white TR7 is in pretty bad condition. Most of the work I'll do on the subframe when I'm at my parents', but I decided to have a go at making a holder for the bushing. So underneath the subframe you've got these bushings that go in, and they actually all have the ends of the subframes, they all have this holder, and you can't buy this anywhere, it's always part of the subframe, and of course you can't buy a subframe anymore, only second hand. So I decided to have a go at making it. I'm going to try fixing that subframe. So we made the holder, we can see that goes in like that and is okay. A couple of things went wrong along the way, but actually I'm pretty happy with that result. So that will get welded in to the car, and so some of this paint will have to come off, but that will get welded into the car when I'm back up visiting my folks. So hope you enjoy, and like, subscribe, comment, and tell me how I could have done it better, because I was quite pleased with that, given I'm using fairly basic tools, but I think there might have been another way of going about it which would have been more effective. We'll see. Thanks. Bye. I am still pondering what to do on the Stag. It's there whilst I think. I was having a little toy with the idea of building myself a little press, but I'm not going to bother with that. What I'm going to concentrate on today is, you'll remember on the white TR7 at my parents', at my dad, I have the subframe is quite rotted. Now I'm going to try to repair it when I'm up there, and we'll go from there with it. But there's some bits which I could do down here, and one is one of the holders for the bushes is totally rotted, and so I'm going to have to replace the holder and then weld it into place. So you can't buy them any longer, but they're basically the same shape as the bush. So I'm going to use this, which is an old front bush from that car. We're going to cut out, or try to cut out, metal and see if we can make something that will approximate what we're after. We'll see how I get on. So what we're going to do here, I've already marked it out once, but just to show you what I've done, we'll cut this along here. I've put a little mark on here, just there. Might be a bit clearer now to you, and by lining that up and then rolling it along until it becomes vertical again, just right there. As you can see, we already have the line, so that's how much I need around. So we're going to cut this bit off. We're going to cut a strip off to that length. I'll measure how deep that needs to be, and we'll move on from there. Right, so I deliberately cut it a bit long because I'm sure it wasn't a tight fit when I put them in. So that will go around like that. I think I'll I don't want it quite that loose. You can see how loose that would be. So I think I'll take off maybe 2 mil. Yeah, I think I'll snip off a couple of mil and then look to weld that on as is. That doesn't look like it'll be too bad. I'll get my snips. Okay, I just disappeared off to have a feel on the TR7 that I've got down here and how far this comes, and actually you've got quite a lot of the most of the this bottom centimetre is actually free of the cup holder, so it actually is up like that a bit more, and so this doesn't need to be that thick. So I need to decide if I'm going to cut it in half. I certainly am going to need it slightly thinner than it is because I'm going to need it thinner than it is, because otherwise, you know, the stuff that goes underneath it and bolts up and pushes it up, it's going to get caught on this. Okay, so let's think about this. The best thing would be is if I had a nice firm metal piece of this, and I could then to try pressing one out. Oh, which would be a good reason for making a press. But I don't have a nice big metal bit. To do that with. Or do I? This is my metal store. No, I absolutely don't have something that would be fit for that. But I am wondering as if I went along to the local merchant and went through their junk bin, if they would have something. Okay, so I'm going to hold on to this for that. Might be trimmed down again a bit. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to try to cut a piece that's about this plus that in length, straight along here. So I'll roll it out and cut that out. I then will put some. This is the bit which I'll want to keep at the right length, and then the top bit, if I do some notches in and fold it over, I should be able to weld it smooth and put a hole in the middle, hopefully. And similarly with the bottom bit, what goes through that hole, that's going to have on the that should be okay. So as long as it's circular, it should be okay. So we bend it over at the top, and then we bend it the other way at the bottom, that little bit, and hopefully we have something that fits over. I can't think of another way of doing this at the moment, so that's probably what we're going to try, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to have to work out how to try to press a piece, I think. So let's do this in centimetres. So that there is 1.5. there is 6mm, and that's 7mm. So 1.5 plus 6 plus 7 is 28. So if we make it a bit bigger than that, so we've got room for mistakes, and go to, I don't know, maybe 32 centimetres, millimetres rather. Centimetres would be rather large. So we want it just a bit bigger than that. So let's try cutting this out and seeing what we have. Right, I don't hold out any real hope for this, but we're going to try it anyway. So, I have this stand, this jack, and I use this in it like that just to, provide some protection. You can see it sits in relatively nicely. Now there is something of a gap here, but that's okay. So what I thought I'm going to try doing is I'm going to drill a hole through the centre of this and chop it off a bit. This is my last bit of metal, so we're going to drill a hole through the middle here. Okay, square it off a bit, and then we're just going to try with this to bolt it in and stretch it down as far as we can get it with this, and then we'll stretch it down as far as we can with hammer, and see if we can get it to come down further. And we'll see if we can get something representing the sort of is it concave or convex, anyway, cup holder type shape that we want. And if we can get that down and then bend over the edges, we've got something to cut around, you see, which is about the right size. And then this bit can come, and I can weld that bit onto it like that. So that's the current plan. We're going to give that a go. We'll see what happens. Okay, so what have I learnt here? Actually, as a principle, that works. That's just like pressing it in. You can see how we've got the shape. It's come out nicely, and I mean that is, you know, right in there. It's maybe it has a bit of nice. That's pretty good as in meeting this shape. It's just as you can see, a long way off going deep enough. What that makes me wonder is maybe the way to do it is on the actual subframe to follow exactly the same principle. On a, you know, on the one of the ones that is good still. This would end up making it a bit too small actually, because I'd actually need to make a mould from the outside and then do it from the in. Anyway, interesting that, you know, as a principle that's not too bad. I just need to improve on it. So really it is, I need to somehow create a mould or whatever and press it through. That's going to be the only way I do this. And I don't have turning machine for metal. Wood wouldn't be strong enough. I don't have a turning machine to make the pieces. Which is what I really need. Yeah. Or I need to be able to, you know, if I had some good strong metal that I could weld together. Oh, bugger. Well, that's too big, but interesting. So, if I could do something. I can't just take that off. Right. Let's see now. If I could. Do something around that. wonder if there's a way I can pull something, follow the same principle, pulling something through here. Right, let's have a little look at stuff that I've got and see what we might be able to come up with. Right, here's what I'm thinking. So I've taken this off the jack, and this fits inside here to the point where it doesn't fit because of the hinges. Okay. And then here, this is the washer that, or spacer or whatever, that goes below, like that, below the bush, and so that's the right size. And this here is the one that goes on the front or the rear. The other, you know, the other part of it on the bushing that actually is caved out there. Okay, so what I'm thinking is if I take those two on here like that, this comes through, we come into this, and at the other end we bolt on to this like that, and then tighten it up. Hopefully, I don't know if I've got you all in there, but something like that. Hopefully we're going to pull it through. Okay, so I'm going to have to cut this down to a size where that sits on the out, and I cut it above so that it's far enough above for this to sit in like that and be tightened onto, but not so far above that I can't get a bolt down. So that's what we're going to do now, is we're going to cut this, and we're going to see if we can take this metal a bit further and where we can get it to. I just thought we'd take it apart again and see how it's coming. And well, it is coming. I mean, you know, we're getting something in there. It's approximating the right shape. Okay. I'm just going to have to get it down a lot further. Interesting, have I made this not big enough? That would go all the way in. so it's not too big. Now part of the problem I've got is it's not, if you look here, hopefully this is in 5-inch screen, yeah. So you can see, because of these being at an angle, this is actually at a slight angle, which means that this is going to be a slight angle as well, which is why I was trying to take it out and turn it a bit. So if I could I'm going to keep going at that for a bit longer and see if we make any progress. It seems to me to be approximately going right. And what I'm just wondering, where's my bit's gone? Okay, so that's a bit worrying. You can see this is getting bent out of shape. I'm just wondering if doing it manually on a vise, I don't have a vise big enough. I'm wondering if this workbench mate will suffice. I'm going to see if I've got washers to go in here to fill this up, so this doesn't bend and take some of that force. Yeah, I'm going to do that next, and then we'll move on a bit and see what else we can do. But it's sort of going in the right direction. I mean, you can see how the metal's getting, you know, very much bent out of shape. So it's definitely pulling it in. Just got to go a bit further. Right, we are making progress. It's just very slow. So you can see that it's much shallower somewhere than some bits than others. If we lay this in, it's beginning to fit in, but it's not far enough still. So I just can't get it down far enough. And if we see how close. Did I not make it big enough? No, so there's plenty of space still here for that, but I just don't have the force to pull it any further down. And so I can't get enough lip. Okay, I just don't have anything strong enough, and so I'm going to need to do that. I'm going to need some sort of press, because I think, to be honest, I think using these over it So I think using these over here to press it out and into that is fine. I think that is working okay. Alright, and it's giving it some of the shape that I want. But I just can't get enough force on there. It won't go any further. And so I need to think about how I might do that. So we might be going back to, I can't remember if I said at the beginning of this that I had been considering building a press. Well, I could look to do that, and just a really simple thing to make this work. I'm going to go in for a bit and have a little think about it, and I might come back out and consider that. But this is definitely, I mean, you know, it's not brilliant, but it's definitely making some progress here. And it's whether or not I can get it any further. Yeah. I mean, I suppose I could, you know, put a snip in these to just make it easier for it to bend up. I wonder if part of the problem here is in fact just too much metal around it that it's trying to pull. That would make some sense, and so maybe cutting it around. Actually, I think that's what we'll try first. Is we're going to trim around this now, so that it's not trying. So you know, when it's trying to pull, it's only trying to pull this little bit in, rather than all of this. And then we'll try what we've been doing again. Yeah, I think we're going to do that first. Okay, I think this is approaching what I want. Okay, it's you know, it'd be better if it was a bit more cut in to grab this bit, but as long as it sits in there, I'm going to be fairly comfortable with it. So I think what I'm going to do now, because it needs to sit, you know, nice and comfortably in centre, and it's getting caught on some of these bits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a break and just think about this. But what I think I'm going to do is do a couple of snips so that these bits start folding over each other, because I can weld them up and then come back and do this again and hopefully pull it down further, yeah, and get rid of some of these wrinkles. Okay, so I'm going to do some snips on the wrinkles to try to get those to flatten themselves out, because I can then cut them over, you know, if they start overlapping each other, I can then cut in the overlap and put a weld in and have it okay. So this is approaching it. Yeah, and I'm quite pleased with how we're going. We're just not quite there. And as you can see, you know, these have to slide in just the right way to get them in there because of the wrinkles. But yeah, it's I mean, it's taken a lot of I'm reckoning a lot of bolts and nuts doing it, but I think I'm going to get there with this approach, or at least something close enough to what I want. Which is remarkably pleasing. Anyway, right, we'll take a break now and come back. Okay, so I need this here, this bit. It's taken the shape of this, which is what you'd expect. That fits in really snug. And unfortunately this is not the same shape as that, as you can see. I need it wider. And so I need to think of some way, something to go in instead of this, to bolster that a bit, and that isn't something I think I have. So I don't know how I'm going to do it. We're getting so close. Okay, so this bit here still needs trimming off a bit. You can see, I don't know if you can see, but I've got quite a bit of overlap there. But what I'm going to do, and I'm going to leave it to tomorrow now, is with that there, I can hopefully weld it in along the side like that, and I'll just slowly work it around until I get to the end, and then I'll snip off whatever I need to snip off at that point. Okay, and that hopefully gives me something which this can sit in. Now it's not the perfect shape, and so, you know, because this is wider than here, so it's not quite I could flatten this off a bit here, but it's this gap here that I'm more kind of concerned about. But I'm gonna do that, and then when I'm back up in March, hopefully, at my parents', we'll try seeing what it looks like actually on the car. But we'll try doing that welding tomorrow and see what it comes out as. But I think that's actually not too bad. It's a shame that I just didn't have metal, is it called a buck? Or a metal bit for that. Anyway, let's see how it goes tomorrow. Okay, so next day, move things about a bit. This is what we're going to try. So this lip here isn't even the whole way around, it's thicker in some places than others. So we're going to start welding in the thinnest place, somewhere around here, okay, and we will try to, actually I might, yeah, about here. So we're going to start by welding it on there, and then we're going to try to trim this off as we go around. So we might, I think what we might do is we might weld it up straight and then do a cut around in order to get it evened off, or something like that. But we're gonna start it here. All right, we've got this metal here, so we'll clamp to this metal and then hold against it as the best way of getting conduction, and see how we get on. Okay, there we have it. It's quite hot, but that's what we've made. This goes in, so when it's bolted in, I'm sure that will come in fine. I could even try that just to make sure. But and then that is going to get fixed into the subframe. So I do have one or two tiny pinholes in there, but I'm not worried about that. So yeah, that goes like that. So hopefully that'll be okay. Certainly better than what is there at the moment. It's going to need welding in when I go back up to my parents. And I don't know how I'm going to do that just yet. But I think what we'll do is we'll get some paint on this just to protect it until then. You know, just some undercoat to give it some sort of protection. And run with that. I can't do any more welding because I'm out of gas, so that's okay. What I've just been thinking about though is, if this doesn't sit flat, I should have thought about this right from the start, I just haven't really been worrying about it. If it's not flat on here, then it's all going to sit too low. So I absolutely must flatten out this end somehow onto it. Blast. So I think we might just try a hammer on here now. Problem is that's going to stretch everything out. Damn it, Henry. It's not much. We're going to try just a hammer onto the rubber and see what we get. Okay, doesn't look as nice now, but actually I think that's going to fit better. So you can see how this is bent in. Okay, well this is now sitting on that metal there, and with that going inside it, all right, we've got it inside. So I'll just need to flatten this bit here a bit, so that it's even, and that will, because remember it gets welded in underneath and this comes in under that, so this is the bit that's got to be flush. So we'll just flatten this out a bit. Right, doesn't look as nice, but I think that will be okay now. That will go up. Alright, so actually the lesson here is, I guess, not to worry about that bit so much, which is what I had been worrying about, and just get that kind of curved bit. Yeah, anyway, good. So we're going to, as I said, paint that up, and we're going to weld it onto the subframe when we're at my parents', and we'll need to buy some gas before we go.